When I first got my hands on these headphones, one of the things that immediately stood out. Koss hasn't tried to reinvent the wheel, but instead the company focused on redefining a formula that has been popular for decades. All three models feature lightweight, open back, open ear designs and more laid back sound signature Koss fans come to expect. But despite sharing that foundation, they're built with different types of users in mind. The KPH40 Retro Orange feels like a modern interpretation of a vintage classic. It keeps that unmistakable retro aesthetic while introducing more streamlined design that's incredibly lightweight and surprisingly comfortable. If you're someone that values long listening sessions with a lot of pressure on your ears, then this model immediately grabs your attention. The Porta Pro Communicator takes a different approach. Instead of simply being a pair of portable headphones, it transforms into the iconic Porta Pro into the headset by adding a flexible boom microphone that makes it a much more versatile option for gaming, Discord chats, work meetings, or pretty much any situation that has clear voice communication matters, just as much as audio quality. And then there's the Porta Pro Black, which is aesthetically the classic, Porta Pro that many people have known to love for decades, only dressed in the understated all black finish. It doesn't introduce new features or dramatically change the formula. Instead, it focuses on delivering the same familiar listening experience in a cleaner, more modern looking package. Although these three models target different users, they all stay true to what made Koss headphones so popular over the years. Affordable pricing, excellent portability, and sound quality that often punches well above their price range. Starting with the KPH40 Retro Orange, this is probably the most visually distinctive headphones of the three. The stainless steel headband paired with those bright orange earphone pads give it an unmistakable old school appearance that immediately stands out. It definitely leans into the retro aesthetics, but thankfully it doesn't feel outdated when you're actually wearing it. And one of the biggest things I noticed during testing was how light these headphones are. They are so lightweight after a while that I almost forgot I was wearing them. The clamping force is almost gentler than any other on-ear headphones that I've used, which makes it a noticeable difference during longer listening sessions. Even after several hours, they never felt overly fatiguing. Like the other models in this review, the KPH40 uses open back designs that means airflow freely through the ear cups, giving music more spacious and natural presentation compared to many closed back alternatives. Instead of feeling boxed in, the instruments and vocals have little more room to breathe, creating a wider soundstage than you'll probably expect from headphones at this price point. Inside, Koss equips the KPH40 with familiar 60 ohm dynamic drivers, capable of reproducing frequencies from 15 Hz to all the way up to 25 kHz. In actual listening, that translates into warm mids, pleasantly full bass, and enough openness to keep the music sound engaging without becoming, analytical. The fixed 3.5mm cable that keeps the setup incredibly simple, since you can plug it into almost anything with a headphone jack, and I almost appreciate that the foam ear pads can be replaced. That's a nice touch for anyone who likes customizing comfort or experimenting with different pad materials over time. And like many Koss products, it's backed by the company's limited lifetime warranty, which always is reassuring to have. Moving over to the Porta Pro Communicator, the overall design immediately feels familiar to longtime Porta fans. It retains that same collapsible metal frame, compact folding mechanism, and the comfort zone adjusting system that lets you fine-tune how much pressure the headphone can apply to your ears. What separates this version from the standard Porta Pro is of course the microphone. Koss has integrated a flexible boom mic that turns these portable headphones into a capable headset, for gaming, voice calls, streaming, online classes, or remote work. It is a simple addition, but it significantly expands what these headphones can be used for. The open back design works surprisingly well during conversations because you can naturally hear your own voice without that closed off sensation that many game sets create. Personally, I found that I made longer voice chats much more comfortable than less fatiguing. Connection is handled through the single 3.5mm jack, plugging it into a compatible, which is a variety array of devices, including laptops, handheld gaming systems, and consoles that still support an analog headset. As far as smartphones like Probably older smartphones will have those jacks in them, but these modern ones don't. But the microphone itself delivers solid vocal clarity for everyday communication. It is not designed to compete with dedicated studio microphones, but for gaming sessions, meetings, or chatting with friends, I found it more capable of getting the job done while preserving the Porta Pro's signature warm sound. And finally, there was the Porta Pro Black. Functionally, this is the classic version. What many audio enthusiasts already know and love. The biggest change is like purely cosmetic. Instead of the traditional silver and blue color scheme, everything's in finished in black, giving it a cleaner, more understated appearance. And I think it looks fantastic. Now, folding frame remains just as compact as ever, make it easy to toss in a backpack and travel bag without taking up space. And the comfort zone pressure adjustment is still here, along with the familiar phone ear pads that become the defining part of the Pro to Pro experience. Internally, nothing has really changed. It still uses the same 60 ohm dynamic drivers with a frequency response to 15 Hz to 25 kHz, and the sensitivity that's easy to drive from phones, handheld gaming devices, portable music players, or virtually anything sources without requiring additional amplification. If you're someone who simply wants the classic Porta Pro experience with some subtle appearance, and this version delivers exactly that. It doesn't try to modernize design or add any extra features. It simply sticks to what has worked for decades. Looking strictly at the hardware, all three headphones are remarkably similar. Each one uses the 60 ohm dynamic drivers and offers a frequency response ranging from 15 Hz to 25 kHz, which I stated earlier in the design, and provides the sensitivity that's high enough to perform well with most smartphones, laptop, handheld consoles, and portable audio players. None of these headphones demand expensive equipment to sound their best, which is one of the reasons that I remained so appealing over the years. Where they begin to differ is in their intended purposes rather than raw specifications. The KPH40 Retro Orange prioritizes comfort above everything else, with its updated headband design and lighter clamping force, making it particularly well suited for extended music listening. The Porta Pro Communicator shifts the focus towards versatility by adding a flexible boom mic, inline mute controls, and TRSS connection that makes it equally useful for gaming, online communication, and everyday entertainment. Meanwhile, the Porta Pro Black keeps things simple as possible. It focuses entirely on music playback while preserving the folding frame, portable design, and the timeless engineering that made the original Porta Pro such an enduring favorite. On paper, they may look very similar, but in practice, each model offers its own strengths depending on what you're looking for from a pair of a portable open back headphone. Before diving into the review, it's worth mentioning that Koss has spent decades providing you what you need to spend a fortune to enjoy generally good sound. While the company stayed true to its retro roots, it has continued to redefine its classic design for modern listeners. Basically, I'm looking at these three headphones, and all three share the same DNA but cater slightly different audiences. The KPH40 Retro Orange, the Porta Pro Communicator, and the of course the Pro Black, although they have plenty in common, each one brings something unique to the table. As much as I enjoy these headphones, they're not perfect. Their strengths comes with some trade-offs. So depending on how you plan to use them, those compromises could be deal breakers. Starting with the KPH40 Retro Orange, its lightweight design is fantastic for comfort, but that same lightweight construction can make it feel a little loose on your head. If you're walking around, exercising, or making sudden movements, it doesn't always feel as secure as you'd like. But I noticed that if you wear glasses, it can, shift around a bit more than expected. The permanently attached cable is another downside. It works fine, but it's fairly thin, and it can twist pretty easily. So if you want to be a little bit more careful when tossing it into a backpack or wrapping it up after use. While I didn't personally experience any major issues, but I'm sure some report an occasional channel imbalance and intermittent audio over time, which is something worth keeping in mind. As for the communicator, it inherits many of the same characteristics as the original Porta Pro, and unfortunately it includes some of its weaknesses. The folded metal frame is incredibly portable, but it also feels, delicate compared to modern gaming headsets. It is something not want to throw around carelessly. The thin cable once again requires a little bit more extra attention, and the exposed comfort bone clips can occasionally catch, for longer hair, which can be frustrating until you get used to them taking them off carefully. And because of this, the open back headset, there is essentially no passive noise isolation, so you're going to hear everything around you, and everyone nearby will hear what you're listening to as well. And that's great if you're sitting in a quiet room at home, but it is far less ideal for public spaces like coffee shops, libraries, or while traveling. And sound signature is always very warm and bass focused, but personally I enjoy the style for the casual listening, gaming. If you're someone that prefers very neutral and highly dedicated presentation, you may find the bass slightly overpowering and the treble lacking in some spark. Now for the black, it shares all of those same limitations. Since it's built exactly the same platform, durability remains average rather than exceptional, and the permanently attached cable isn't something you can simply swap out if it eventually wears out. The open back design once again, means that there's, no isolation from outside noises, making these headphones much better suited for home listening than commuting or busy environments. Now while I generally like the warm, relaxing tuning, I can also understand that while some listeners might want more detail in their upper frequencies, compared to some newer headphones in this price range, the Pro Black, doesn't always deliver the same level of clarity or precision, especially if you're listening to a more complex recording. Now, none of these issues completely ruin the experience, but they're more important to know before buying. These headphones were designed around comfort, portability, and musical enjoyment, not modern features like isolation, rugged construction, or highly analytical sound. After spending some time with all three models, I completely understand why Koss continues to have such a lovable fan base. These headphones prove that you don't need to spend hundreds of dollars to enjoy genuinely fun and engaging audio. The retro orange impressed me with its incredibly lightweight design and all-day comfort. It feels like a thoughtful modernization of a classic concept while still delivering that signature Koss sound people loved for years. The Porta Pro Communicator is, probably the most versatile of the group. Adding a boom microphone transforms it into a surprisingly capable headset for gaming, online meetings, and voice chat without sacrificing the warm, enjoyable sounds that is made for the Porta Pro so iconic in the first place. While the Pro Black sticks to the tried and true formula, it doesn't chase flashy new features or dramatic redesigns, and honestly, that's the part of its appeal. If you simply want the classic Porta Pro experience in a cleaner looking package, it delivers exactly what it promises. But with that all said, all three headphones share the same Asian design philosophy. Their open back construction means that you have no noise isolation, permanently attached to cables and leave the room for improvement, and their lightweight build doesn't always feel as robust as newer competitors. There are products that prioritize sound and comfort over modern conveniences. Whether the strengths or weaknesses really depends on your expectation. Even with those compromises, I think Koss continues to offer outstanding value. These headphones deliver an enjoyable listening experience that's difficult to match with their price point, and that they earn their reputation for a reason. If you're willing to accept their retro quirks and open back limitations, then you'll be rewarded with comfort, portable headphones that still sound fantastic decades after the original designs first appeared. And for that, I give the Koss KPH40 Retro Orange, the Porta Pro Communicator, and the Pro Black a 3 out of 5. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave us a like and subscribe to the channel and hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss out on future reviews, hands-on impressions, and more gaming tech content.